starting with this conclusion, he's working back. So he's like saying, if we saw intelligent design, then what we conclude is intelligent design. Like,
yeah, but Dominic, I don't think this is like a trap. It's such a bad argument. I wouldn't worry about follow his script, like just see where it goes. Like it's
yeah, I mean, I think he already.
The watch on the beach argument. We've all heard this shit before.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but Dominic, I'm expecting you to, point out the logical flaw. Don't fall. I mean, you're just following it. That's not very interesting.
Well, I was just trying to give a fun kind of exercises to prove that an intelligent creator.
You weren't doing that. You were trying to make a claim.
No, just ping me. Let's create a settlement.
I can't make it. I can't prove. Like, it's impossible to prove that God exists, right?
Well, thank you for your honesty.
but it's impossible to prove that He doesn't exist.
Well, hold on. Let me try an
That's
opposite
not
argument.
necessarily true.
It's not necessary.
It's not necessary someone to prove it doesn't
exist. Just ping me. Let's create a settlement. I'm ready to receive the law.
It's called Russell's Teapot. We should all know this already.
Your analogy
was repeat this every fucking day for like 2 years now. Because people don't fucking read anything. It's annoying.
So the analogy was trash because you said, what if there was some setup on a beach where the rocks were in a, like, you're describing intelligent design and saying, oh, what if this, would it be not
Wait, that's just an atheism gloss.
Like you're
loser.
starting with your conclusion.
Well,
of course.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem with your theory. You're saying that I'm starting with intelligence.
But the watchmaker argument repurposed.
Well, you're saying that I'm starting with intelligence design.
I'm familiar with the watchmaker argument, right? This is nothing more than a repurposed watchmaker argument, which has been debunked, to death already.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem with the theory. You said I started with an intelligent design, so like you like that's like defeating the argument. Well,
okay,
no. If I'm starting with an intelligent design, and that's your argument that I'm starting with an intelligent design, then me saying the universe is much more of an intelligent design than anything that I could come up with.
Why can't I reject that claim?
You can't reject that claim. You can't.
Do you realize that starting with your conclusion is not an argument? Do you realize that?
Why can't a lot of people don't realize that.
But you can't reject that.
You can't start with the conclusion.
James, explain to me why I can't reject that claim.
Because existence is much more complex than anything that I could come.
Okay, this is the Nauge's law book. Nauge's is going to read some thalametic texts. Those who call us Thalamites shall do no wrong.
This. Indeed. Oh, God, lol. What, Nick? What? What do you want? Yeah. I'm so worried about you. You almost just choked on your... I'm not choking. I'm fucking taking it. What does it matter? Yeah.
more people benefit. Right? Like right out here, sunrise is 5:30. If you like daylight savings, sunrise is 6:30. And if you just like don't care about the clock and get up at sunrise and do your morning shit, in one case the cafe is open, the other one it's not. Am I doing it right? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm like doing a positive, negative, and I'm not sure in my brain right now, and I'm not. It just, like, all of it is fucking stupid, but I think the majority of people would prefer to have, like, since we're apparently, like, glued to this thing where most businesses...
Outside of that matrix, outside of that system, so you can enact change, right?
Yes, this is what I'm saying, bro. This is what...
طب انت نمتنا على الارض.
فمحته
انت تقول الفلوس والغسيل والكوتي بقول على المكوى هناك جوتي تمام. احنا كنا بنغسل.
السلام عليكم.
حد دخل الروم؟
لا
ولا انت ده ولا مين؟
ايه
الصوت ده؟ انا اتفاجئت يعني.
ما علينا. تمام. قلت له لا جوتي مين يابا والناس تانيين ده احنا كنا بنغسل بايدينا ورجولنا ونعصر ونغني يا انا يا غسيلي الغسيل بوظ ايديا والصابون جوه في عينيا علشان اغسل انا. فبتتكلموا في ايه؟ واخد بالك يا عم؟ وليه؟ جيبوا فيديو كويس وانالايز كلنا الناس ما كويس. ماذا تجيبوا الناس الجاكي ده كربو؟ ماذا تجيبوا قدروا ده كربو موية محمد؟ أجل موية محمد هاي. ماذا don't do that.
No.
بشكل مودي ما تجيبوا قريب كربو أجا بتاعك. ماذا remove من الروم كرمون كيان انتهى تياسما كلام تانا لي أصل الناس تانا باس مقالي في كتير إننا كونسو وفي ناس منو الناس جانا تانا نوير victims. Naza bija mungkin tu katulina nuer kama bonusu bekas makama bisabina ina masibi yom tani nas minini gal genera sadu nuer asina gisa bekaso ma
jera amuno la konyari ya kusum.
Okay yakona naze why jade sim talking kulu jengede jade de kolde de jenge minabie uma to min meseria let's call that
conclude your CPI.
Yeah. So don't Coloso, don't give us these people cannot reason. You have a reason for them for years. Did they give you an answer? They keep going on with their policy. So whatever we talk here, I can give them one.
Okay, what? Did you get rid of the sauce?
Like, scientific means, we'll put it that way, to be as decisive as possible. So, dude, like, is that still the concept of precept? Like, there's concepts that are not presuppositional that can be verified, and the only way that they're verified is through empiricism. I think that you mentioned empiricism, so I'm going to ask you and use your word.
You're asking about concepts? Because you just said concepts.
Okay, if you don't want to answer and focus on my terminology, that's fine. Concepts, like ideas that can be verified, true or false, but they need the ability to be.
this is your definition of what you want to talk about right now, because you're just missing the...
So then focus on the point. Don't focus on my definitions.
What's the point?
Like I didn't focus on your definitions, right? I focused on what you said in your article. So I didn't focus on, and when I focused on your words, I used those words in the conversations that we were having so that I didn't misrepresent you. It wasn't like to try to say a definitional concept, you know?
You're just saying a bunch of word salad here.
Okay.
Like it's still what I said stands still, right? And
No,
what I
don't think it
has a
does.
ton. Well, you didn't give me any good reason why not.
Your paper says, I think, like 17 times, pre-sup. So
yeah, we already discussed that.
Is that something? If
this is what you normally talk about.
That means that it has to be true because it's presupposed, right? And then you're fitting your position inside of what you're defining. You understand that's like not the way that the world works, right?
You're committing a logical fallacy before you even get off
the two of you are narrating this.
Very old.
Hey, Goldie.
It'll tell you.
Hey, Goldie.
That the sons of God were angels.
Yes, but we're in Genesis 6 says the were angels.
But see,
It says they were the sons of God.
It doesn't verbatim say that, but I'm just pretty much writing shit down. Yeah, where y'all at, man? Y'all drinking? Y'all tired too? Cooking.
No.
Ain't no woman sending news to a motherfucker she don't like. No.
How they do that every? Well, I don't
No.
like it.
Period.
They do that every day on here.
No, they
They do that
don't.
every day on here. They send shit to motherfuckers that they'll never see. What's the difference?
They'll never see is one thing, but somebody they don't like is another.
Better change your name, nigga, to the boogeyman.
Now you watch it right here when I put this in the chat to show.
Experience, regardless whether it's monologue or dialogue.
Now, for God, that's absolutely true. But arguments from atheism is not necessarily true.
Now, here's the difference that I would say to CN. There could be a concept of denying any and all gods, right? The God concept could be a precept concept. But that would come down to, are you talking about a deist God versus a theistic God? Now, a theistic God makes claims.
Exactly.
So therefore, if we address the theistic God's claims, that's not precept. But if some atheist out there is going to say that to a deist who just says, hey, God created everything, and then he stepped away and has never spoken to humans, then I would say that that's a different conversation.
It is a totally different conversation. Nobody argues against deism. It's what's called in the Popperian sense. It's unfalsifiable. There's nothing to talk about. The universe, how we experience it, how we see it right now, as well as everything, would be identical whether it started through some natural causes or there was a Aristotelian prime mover or a deist god or something behind it, the universe would be indistinguishable. So there's no point.
I started going crazy for him. I started getting lost in strange thoughts.
The non-existence of a deist god. Like, you're not.
But he made that claim.
Well, deist or theist? Because, like I said, because you're completely
that
right.
guy.
Deist.
Dude, like.
Yeah, well, I wasn't following the whole time, but I agree with you. A theist god who interferes with the universe and stuff, that can be, you could experiment
Other people
verify whether some of that god
21.
whatever.
What do you do for work?
You can rule them out. I mean, this is just for a deist god, you can't do that at all. So nobody would
fundraisers, they don't even want people that only have $300.
I thought he was talking about deist god.
God, but he did try to
he left.
present that.
He left.
He didn't say
he's on
deism.
stage.
I'll say that.
Come
He
back on
didn't
stage,
use the word
dude.
deism, but he did try to present that as like, oh, that's totally possible. But whatever.
No, he said the question that the deist god is totally possible is kind of irrelevant or it's vacuous. It's like a trivial.
It's not necessarily if he says if his claim was, which he did say, what's your the thing was, what's your best argument for God existing? And then he just says, here's a paper that mentions quantum mechanics and a God, right? Like, it's not a theistic claim at that point. That's what I was bringing
Different
up.
than most other people's. Like, to me, my foundational pillars are not
Actual
Christianity.
quantum physicists don't talk about God. Like, this is.
If an expert does not have some problem to vex him, he is unhappy. If a philosopher's teaching is never attacked, he pines away. If critics have no one unbound by objects, loses possession of his inner self.
Like, there's people that do that. Actually, physicists don't do that. This is the whole quantum hype thing. Just insert the word quantum in whatever you want.
Whoso
Just give it
had come to see Prince
aura
Rule.
of, like,
The
scientific
prince was glad.
legitimacy.
I have desired, he
Okay,
said, to
let's
see.
move it on to other people. We'll both do that in that consider.
Please don't scroll.
Who's wrong? Wait, what? Yeah, what are you talking about?
You lose. You're wrong.
How was I wrong?
You just
so
said
who?
you just want to move on without accepting
I'll be in
that.
trouble when I fail to do good.
Dude, he agreed with me. What are you talking
No,
about?
we agree
Please
on
don't
certain
scroll.
points, but not the ultimate point.
Which was, what was the ultimate point?
Look at this John Kitover 45th Ward Trip.
So now we're
show you what all this crisis looks like today going to the drink.
I'm trying to understand. Like, what was the ultimate point? Dude, I'm an atheist. Do you think I'm a theist?
I think
No,
you're
I
right.
don't think. You think dude likes what's
Jeff's apartment is where I do a performance spot check.
He actually came out here and said something profound that has us like it's not like the 10,000th time we've heard this argument from intelligent design.
I'm on your side.
I'm on
Exactly,
his
that's what I'm
side,
saying, that's
so
what-
what are you talking about?
All
Wait,
three
so
of
we're,
us are on the same
so
side.
we're,
That's
no
why
one's
we
disagreeing
said
with
it's
each
kinda
other?
Do you understand what I said, or are you just like being provocative?
I'm just being provocative, I guess. I don't know. I'm being a dumbass.
No, it's okay if you don't understand what I said.
No, I do
And
understand,
that,
but
because,
it's just,
dude, I don't.
feel like we're talking past each other.
I'm gonna be honest. That's not like a slight on you. I grew up with a speech impediment, so I don't say things as other people say things. So it could be that I said it.
I understand you.
Yeah,
I understood you too.
Okay.
Alright. So what the fuck are we talking about now?
I don't even know if there's any more theists on stage.
There's no arguments for the existence of a god. That's really the truth. No good arguments.
Carlos, are you a monist? I was told from.
I would like to hear Carlos speak. What is that? What is a monist?
Monotheism?
No, monism is like you believe there's only one fundamental substance in the universe.
Oh, a monist.
And
okay.
Monist. Yeah.
I say things differently, like I said.
Okay.
I think I kind of might be a monist, actually.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about that. That's an interesting concept, in my opinion.
It is. And if you guys want to hold to actual reality and physics, hopefully you guys are like string theorists, because maybe string theory fundamentally posits some kind of monism that all the fundamental particles are ultimately made up of like tiny vibrating strings and stuff. And so like in that respect you could be, but as it stands right now, and using the current model of the standard model particle physics, etc., the universe does not look monist or whatever. There's about 17 distinct elementary particles, like elementary subatomic particles.
Yeah, but you'd agree, Sam, that if you like, but if you reduce them, like maybe there's like reasons why they all have their own different charges. Like more.
No, Jack, that's the whole idea behind string theory. So the thing is, if we try to zoom in into anything, we can zoom in. We see the atom. Past the molecules, we'll see the atoms. Past the atoms, we'll see the protons and neutrons. In like the nucleus, and then we'll see the electrons zipping around. Once we get to the electron, we can't zoom in any further. As far as we're concerned, the electron is a fundamental particle. But the neutrons and the protons, neutrons and protons, you could keep zooming in further. And we know that protons and neutrons are made of quarks. Now, the question is, and as far as we know, quarks, again, are elementary in the sense that we haven't been able to zoom in any further to see if the quarks have individual constituents. And, I don't think they do, they probably don't, but the string theorists just say that we just don't have enough, we can't produce the energy levels enough sufficient to probe a quark, to actually to be able to zoom in enough to see the constituents of a quark. You would need so everybody knows CERN, right? The particle accelerator in Switzerland. I forgot, it's like a 27 kilometers in diameter or something. Well, the energy levels produced there are nowhere near the energy levels that we would need to actually probe a quark. We would need like a particle accelerator, probably like the size of the solar system, to reduce the energy levels required to probe a quark. This is why people say that string theory is like barely science, is like philosophy, because like its predictions are they're like.
Can we get back to
principles are testable, but in practice they're not. They're falsifiable, but in practice they're not falsifiable. At least not with our
monist belief. Hey, why would you say that you might be a monist?
Yeah, I think CM was doing a good job kind of explaining the background. The reason I might be a monist is because I've seen a pattern in the history of science where reductionism seems to be like an incredibly useful way to research the universe. And whenever we keep doing that pattern of reducing something further, it seems like they always share deeper constituent qualities. So the fact that we used to think that, let's say, like two different elements were completely different, and then we realized they both were made of atoms, then the atoms are both made of protons and neutrons, and then the protons and neutrons are both made up of quarks. I expect that pattern to continue. It would be very bizarre of me to say that, like, that just goes on and they don't share some fundamental quality.
Okay.
So I think that the pattern that's been going on, I think if it continues to go, which I don't see why it wouldn't, it would just lead you to monism.
Well, what's interesting about that is like the concept of like one of Zeno's paradoxes, right? Like if you travel half of the distance, then you have to travel half more, etc. At some point, we come to the Planck distance.
Exactly. The Planck scale solves Zeno's paradox. Yeah.
Correct. So at that point, it would seem that dividing up, actually they would be elements at that point because they're under the umbrella of atoms. So I don't understand that, like with quarks and stuff. So why would that lead to monism? Monism.
Because like the energy in the universe seems to have come about through the same like moment in time, through the Big Bang, and then through like successive periods of like evolution, it's changed into various different like expressions of that same energy. But it doesn't seem to me that if the whole universe came from like some quantum event, I would think that they all share the same like fundamental energy because it came from the same place.
Wait, I'm sorry. Could you say that again? I didn't understand it.
I said our universe, presumably, it appears to have come from like a quantum event called the Big Bang. So the fact that everything came from the Big Bang leads me to believe that like that quantum, the quantum atmosphere that was going on at that moment in that like deep realm of physics, it doesn't seem to me. It seems way more likely to say that everything came from the same source, therefore it's like the same fundamental source of energy, than to say that there would be like fundamental different parts of that same energy.
So
it's just Occam's razor.
Well, as far as I understand about the concept of the Big Bang is that all matter existed, and then it came down to a single point. We call that a singularity. So all matter would not necessarily be the concept that you're bringing up.
All matter.
Am I wrong about that?
The entire universe.
No, see, I'm just asking this guy. Does the concept of all matter existing and then becoming a singularity, as we would call it? And there are scientists that disagree with the concept of calling it a singularity. Let's not get caught up in that semantical argument. But like, if the concept of all matter comes down to a single point and then explodes into the universe, do you think that that confirms your monist belief?
Well, it doesn't confirm anything in like an absolute sense.
Exactly.
But it suggests, I mean, it implies very strongly that everything, at least in our local representation of space-time, is somehow fundamentally different.
Like, I think Abe is making kind
fundamentally dependent
vague claims like
monism.
Everything's made of energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed, only transferred. So everything's made of the